Good morning. Good morning. Hope everyone's doing great. Happy Monday to you. If you're on YouTube, watching on YouTube, or in the Six-Figure Business, Seven-Figure Life YouTube folks, hit subscribe, hit the bell. You know the drill by now. But really want to talk to you about focus today. So why is focus important on this Monday morning? I don't know where you are, where I am. It's a little gray and cloudy. Some of my friends through the Midwest are getting dumped with snow. And so part of me is jealous of that. And part of me is grateful that I'm not there because I don't really vibe in the cold weather too much. I used to live in New York City and Philadelphia, so I'm very accustomed to the cold, but I don't really thrive in the cold. So let's talk about focus this morning. So if you are leaving the comments, make sure you leave your name in there. Happy Monday, you guys. Hope everyone's doing great. Let's talk about focus. I want to tell you a quick story. This really comes back to, I'm giving a talk on this early next month about focus and about change. And so I want to share a story with you real quick. Some of you may have heard it, the truck story. And so if you know a little bit about my background, my son was diagnosed with cancer in March of 2019, coming up on 2 years ago. So this time of year kind of has a little triggering effect on me. So I've got to be really intentional with my focus. Early on in that, I was sitting with my son in the hospital, and I said, Daddy wants to get a tattoo to kind of remember this point in our lives, this moment in our lives. And my son was 4 at the time. He was 5 at the time. No, 4. He was 4 at the time. And so I said, what should Daddy get? Should Daddy get belief or faith or survive? These are the words that I came up with and threw out to my son. And, he kind of pondered for a little bit, and I remember it the way I remember it. But those were for sure the words that I said. Keep in mind, this was a highly emotional time for me and my family, and my wife and I were figuring it out. But he comes back at me and he says, get trucks, Daddy. I like trucks. And I was like, whoa. And I just laughed and laughed. I turned around, told my wife and told my sister-in-law, and we laughed. We got a kick out of it. And then a couple of weeks went by, and I started really processing, as things were going on. And I was like, my words were survive, faith, belief, those words, all important words, all things that we needed to have. But then he came up with trucks because he likes trucks. And so I don't know if you'll be able to see, but that is my one and only tattoo. I actually got the word trucks and my son's name right below it to think about that day, right? The reason I did is because this comes back to what we're talking about with focus. I was focusing on survive, faith, belief, all those things that I needed. I really should have been focusing on. I really was. But I told him, I said, I want to remember this time in our lives. And so what my words were focusing on were the struggle. My words were focusing on how hard it was. My words were focusing on the dark moments, right? Plenty of them, almost too many to count. Some that probably will be around for a while. His focus was on, I like trucks, Daddy. Get trucks, right? And so I think we have to look at that and say, okay, what is it that really matters? What is it that I'm really focusing on that really, am I focusing on the fight, the struggle, the negative, or am I focusing on the outcome? Now happy to say my son finished chemo last summer. He does like trucks, still likes trucks. In fact, I like trucks now, even more so because of that. So I think we really have to look at the words that go on up here, what we're telling ourselves, what we're focusing on. Is it the best thing for us? My 4-year-old son diverted my focus, diverted my attention from the struggle, from the fight, from the hard stuff, the things that I was questioning. At that point in time, I was questioning belief. I was questioning faith. I didn't know about survive because we didn't have a lot of answers. And so, but what I did know is that I like trucks, Daddy. And so for me, it was really the special moment. I'm really thankful that a few weeks went by and that I had the courage to actually put it on my arm because now I see it and it reminds me to think of those positive things. So when we focus on things like that, let's bring this full circle and then we'll jump off of here. When we focus on things like that, it really makes us smile at the hard times. If you ask my son, do you remember being bald? He lost his hair twice during chemotherapy. If you remember being bald, he's about to turn 6. He says, I don't remember being bald. I show him a picture and he goes, whoa, why? But if you ask my son, do you remember 2 summers ago riding the tricycles at Ronald McDonald House in Jacksonville, Florida? He goes, oh yeah, the big tricycles, the red ones, they had the wheels. Like he remembers details about that, but he doesn't remember losing his hair twice because of his focus. Greatest lesson that I've actually been privy to in my life was taking those little shifts that my son taught me and focusing on something else. So when you look at your life and you look at your business, you look at whatever it is you're doing, if you start a business and you focus on money, you're probably not going to have a good time. You're probably going to fail a little bit harder than you probably would have otherwise. You're probably going to struggle because your metric for success in that business, your focus is on money. If you take a small shift and you say, I'm going to focus on service, or I'm going to focus on impact or help or give backs, or I'm going to focus on 1% better every day. It is that little shift. And then we all know what happens when you do that. The money follows, right? And that's a business perspective. If you say, hey, I'm going to focus on being a better dad or a better husband or a better wife or a better partner or a better spouse, I'm going to focus on that. And you only focus on being the best, the perfect, never do wrong. If you only focus on that, it's a much more of an uphill climb. I met a wonderful woman years ago in Miami. We were speaking, and her name is Susan Urschler, and she was telling me she's a mountain climber. Her and her husband have climbed the 7 highest mountains in the world together, which really is amazing. But she brought in this first idea that most people see the peak, but they don't see the mountain. And she climbed Everest twice, in fact, with her husband, one time unsuccessfully, the second time successfully. And she said, what people see is the photo on top with the flag. And what they don't see is that coming down is twice as dangerous as going up. And no one sends those photographs. So I think we have to really look at that as an example of, we want to have that image, that picture. We want to have that idea of the outcome, but what we really need to focus on are those little things. So I think if you can take your focus today, my message this morning is all about focus. It's all about shifting on the micro level. If work-life balance is your desired outcome, one, you're probably aimed at the wrong target, right? Because we have these little phones in our pockets all the time. Work-life balance it's hard. It doesn't really happen. But work-life management, that little shift, work-life management can happen, saying, I'm going to manage my life to where my work doesn't impact my life negatively. I'm going to manage my life to where my work positively impacts my life. It is that little shift, that one word difference, work-life management versus work-life balance. I don't want work and life to be equal. I don't want balance. I want my life to be much bigger than my work. So I think you really have to look at that. Baxley taught me that. He taught me that through a little word called trucks. I'll give you some behind the scenes. I'm writing a book right now called The Secret Power of Trucks, and I'm really excited about it. I've been in production on books for the last 4 years, and nothing has really moved me until now. And The Secret Power of Trucks is really something that moves me. It's really something that I've got a life experience around. And so I'm really excited to write it. I don't know when it'll be done. I'm not putting a deadline on it because I just want it to be something that I do a good job on. And so it is that shift. I'm not writing a book to make profit or to get speaking gigs or anything like that. I'm writing a book so that I can give to Baxley when he's 30 and say, all of this book is the lessons from you when you were 4. That's the purpose of this. So it is that little shift, right? That allows me space. That allows me breath. That allows me some purpose in writing the book outside of profit, right? I don't care if I make money off the book. I just want to make sure that I do his words justice, right? So look at your life. Look at your business today. Where can you make that tiny little shift? Where is that tiny little thing that you can just shift over and it just changes the way you see things? It may not be lose 10 pounds. It might be put on my shoes today. Little shifts, right? If you read Atomic Habits, you'll understand that reference altogether. I'm about halfway through it now for the second time, and I love it. So if you haven't read the book Atomic Habits, go read that. Just look it up, Google it, Amazon it, all that. It's really wonderful. So on YouTube, don't forget, hit the bell for notifications. Always subscribe. I've got some good stuff coming out, I hope. And if you're on Facebook, my 6-figure business, 7-figure life folks, I really appreciate you guys. I really am inspired by you guys. Please share your content. Make sure that your content is valuable to the people in this community. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Happy Monday to you.